Yes. What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. We're finishing up our STREM today, this interview, and we're just going to get right into it because I really don't have time to mess around. So we're looking at a transition from these segments to this segment. So let's have a look.
That they're paying to use their products and go out there and tell all their friends. So it's a whole different beast that it's hard to keep up with, for lack of a better way of saying it. It's just hard to keep up with. I don't think smartphones are bad or evil, or, you know, that you should ban them from your children. I personally don't think that. I think kids need to be taught how to use them. I think kids need to be taught how to live with the technology that we have today, because it isn't going away. That we have today, because it isn't going away. I can't think of a reason why we wouldn't want young people to hear these messages. And they're all about positive choices and goal setting. The gap between adult brain and kid brain, because they don't realize the impact of that choice. So one of my favorite experiences I would love to see Operation Aware in every classroom, at the very least, here in the Tulsa metro area. We know that when a community takes on the same messaging, we're going to make greater change. So when all the students are getting the same messaging, we will see greater change in our community. From there, I'd love to see it go statewide, and from there, nationwide would be amazing. But I'm going to be honest and a little bit selfish here for a second. I live in this Tulsa area. This is where I want to see it grow first. Oh, sure, I'll go to that party and do that, because they don't realize the impact of that choice. Oh, exactly what consequences you're going for. Need certain things, they need certain conversations, because it just hasn't come up yet. So we give at Operation Aware, we give you the ability to have those conversations, because we give at Operation Aware, we give at Operation Aware, we give you the ability to have those conversations, because hopefully young people are going home. And sometimes we don't find out the consequence at home until we make the choice. So it's better to have the conversation before you make the choice. So you more and more each day of learning how to communicate with each other. One of the things that makes Operation Aware unique is the fact that we aren't just a scripted curriculum. Our curriculum is a guide for our facilitators. What makes the magic happen is when the facilitators really get in and understand their students and draw from their current experiences and then take that to mold the discussion. The information about drugs and alcohol has been the same for the last few years. We get a few new pieces to it, but really the risk is to it. Has been the same for the last few years. We get a few new pieces to it, but really the risk has always been the same when it comes to that kind of behavior. What makes Operation Aware last and stick is the relationships that are built over that 8-week period that make the biggest difference. It's always amazing to me to get from week 1 to week 8 with students and see that aha moment, to see when that student goes, wow, I get it. If I just do this, this, and this, things are going to be easier. They're not always going to be better, but they're going to be easier than if I made decision X, Y, or Z. It doesn't ensure that you'll be happy forever. It just means that you're going to have to deal with a lot less if you make decisions without the impairment of drugs or alcohol. Bad things are less if you make decisions without the impairment of drugs or alcohol. Bad things are going to happen, period. I mean, I can't tell you what bad thing is going to happen to Susie or Sally or Joe, but I can tell you that every young person that we have in our community is going to face something difficult. It's just a no-brainer. I wish that wasn't that way, but it is. We want to give them the tools and the skills to bounce back from whatever that bad is. So we use little things and big things. So we use facilitated discussion around risky behaviors and why that's a good or a bad idea. And then we use good news. At the top of every classroom, we talk about, hey, what's something good that happened between last week to this week? That was one of my favorite things to do in the classroom. There were definitely times where I would walk into a classroom and you could tell that the teacher didn't want to be there and the 30 students in the classroom didn't want to be there. But they were there, and so here we go, right? And I would start with good news. I'd say, can somebody tell me something good that happened from last week to this week that they just want to share? And you would have silence, crickets. And you'd even have one student who'd be like, there's nothing good going on here. And it was such a fun moment for me, because I'd say, really? You can't find one good thing that happened in the last 7 days. Not one. And they would be very grumpy and very, stubborn and say, nope, there's nothing good. Now, somebody tell me why things are so bad? What has happened to your class that there's nothing good that somebody can share? And somebody would say, yeah, the teacher's given us tests this week and we all failed it. Or, they'd come up with some reason. Maybe somebody lost their dog or somebody lost their grandparent. Lots of different reasons. And we'd pull from those. And I'd say, it's really sad that given us tests this week and we all failed it, or, you know, they'd come up with some reason. Maybe somebody lost their dog or somebody lost their grandparent. Lots of different reasons. And we pull from those. And I'd say, you know, it's really sad that you feel like the teacher's kind of trying to, you know, bully you a little bit or make you feel like you're dumb because she didn't give you an A on your test. But what do you think you got out of that? And inevitably, you'd have the one student who likes to be the know-it-all, so they always come up with the right answer, right? And they'd say, well, I guess we did learn something because we reviewed it, and now we all know the information better. That's good news, right? Or you'd have the person who said, you know, I lost my grandma, and that's tough news. Right? Or you'd have the person who said, you know, I lost my grandma, and that's tough news. Absolutely tough news. And I'd say, but can you think of something that's good about that? And that student honestly would look at you and go, well, grandma's been sick for a really long time, and so I guess it's good that she's not sick anymore. And you think that's a trite thing, or you think that's a really minimal thing for kids to be able to flip it like that, but it's really a huge, huge indicator of whether or not a student will be resilient. And so then we practice whether or not a student will be resilient. And so then we practice it over the next 8 weeks every time we come in. And by week 8, you are telling kids, I'm sorry, I can only take 5 good news. So 5 people tell me something good, and then we've got to move on because we got to finish up. And it's just awesome to walk into that class who started out as being the class that was like, not going to share anything, to, oh my gosh, now we got to shut it down because there's too many people sharing. I mean, there's too many people sharing. I mean, I've had kids say, Miss Jenny, I have good news today. And I'm like, what's your good news? Well, our electricity's still on. Mom wasn't sure she was going to be able to pay the bill, but we found the money to pay the bill. Yeah. I mean, you do. You have those kids. That is real. I had one student tell me that they had gotten home from school and nobody was at their house and it was all locked up. And they sat there for and gotten home from school. And they sat there for like 2 hours before Mom came, and they had been evicted. And nobody had thought, and nobody had thought about the kid coming home from school. So the kid got off the bus, was sitting at the house, didn't know if anybody was ever going to come get him. So his good news was, I was thankful that my mom remembered me. I mean, it's heartbreaking. But he could find the good. If he can find the good, he's going to be okay. And that, again, it sounds trite, but it truly is a resilient resiliency factor. And when you talk to people who cannot seem to get over something bad that happened to them, a lot of times it is because they cannot a lot of times it is because they cannot go back and look at how much they've grown since that trial. Trials are hard. Trauma is hard. Because they cannot go back and look at how much they've grown since that. Trials are hard. Trauma is hard. Don't get me wrong on that. But how we come out, but how we come out of it determines where we go from there. So one of the skills that we work on with young people from third through high school is So one of the skills that we work on with young people from third through high school is decision-making skills. And so one of the things we talk about is whenever you're in a moment where you go, I don't know if that's a good idea. Stop and take a breath. You know, like freeze frame. Remember when the TV shows used to do that, and the character would everything around them would freeze, and the character would step up out of themselves and be like, oh, so if I go this direction, this is what's going to happen. If I go that direction, this is what's going to happen. We really want kids to actually take on that skill and freeze frame things and say, you know, really think through what could be the consequences if I make that decision. And then hopefully they'll come around to, is this safe? Is it fair? Will it work? And how will others feel? Are some great questions they can ask themselves to really decide if this is a good decision. Well, once the brain stops developing, like 26, so if you haven't learned that skill by 26, you're probably not going to learn that to really decide if this is a good decision. Well, once the brain stops developing, like 26, so if you haven't learned that skill by 26, you're probably not going to learn that skill, or it's going to be extra difficult to learn that skill. Because your brain has stopped growing and developing and changing. Your decision-making skills come between the ages, I think it's like, I want to say it's 20 and 24 is when the decision-making skills truly develop in the brain. So now it makes sense why young people are so impulsive at 13, 14, 15 years old, because that portion of their brain, the decision-making skills, just hasn't formed. Well, my friends said it was a good idea, so it was a good idea. I mean, and that's all they need, you know? They're not thinking about the fact that mom's gonna ring them up later. Skills just hasn't formed. Well, my friends said it was a good idea, so it was a good idea. I mean, and that's all they need, you know? They're not thinking about the fact that mom's gonna ring them up later. So as adults, we think kids should just know that's a bad idea, right? But they don't know it's a bad idea because their brain has not developed. We expect a lot out of kids. And they are really smart people. They really are. But they're impulsive. And we forget that they're built that way. Like their teen brain is built that way. I'd walk into a classroom, they'd say something, I'd be like, yeah, that's just because you haven't figured it out yet, you know. So I have two favorite stories.
Okay, 30-minute break. Well, I mean, I've been doing this for 30 minutes. 20 minutes, actually. Time to take a... eye break.
Remember what? Not so.
Alright, stand up time. $1:30. Hold on a second, guys. I'm going to get a beverage. Alright. I am back, team. No more bathroom time. Huh.
I remember one not so pleasant memory of being an Operation Wear instructor. I had one great fear. I had one great fear when I was an instructor, and that was the lockdown fear. I just never wanted to get locked down in a school. I don't really know if I can explain why. It was just always one of those things in the back of my mind. I never wanted to be in that situation. But our kids deal with a lot of things, and I was at a particular things in the back of my mind. I never wanted to be in that situation. But our kids deal with a lot of things, and I was at things in the back of my mind. I never wanted to be in that situation.
Aha! So then we're gonna come here.
I was at a particular school where the pressure to make bad choices is probably a lot stronger, if I'm being completely honest. The pressure to be a drug dealer, the pressure to be in a gang, the pressure to live up to those expectations as opposed to the expectations of going to college and making something of yourself. They're stronger to be on that bad side, or that thug life, if you will. Had a student, we were doing the EMSA, if you will. Had a student, we were doing the EMSA
I remember to breathe. Woosah. Woosah. Woosah.
stronger to be on that bad side, or that thug life, if you will. So we were doing the EMSA presentation. EMSA had come out. They were taking their day to come and talk to these students, and it was just a small group of maybe 20 students in this classroom. And they were talking about some of the things that they see in the community, especially dealing with their age group and the challenges that they might come upon when a young person is either passed out or hurt, and why that young person might be in that situation. It usually relates back to alcohol or drugs. And the EMSA volunteer asked the students, do you guys have any questions for us? Like, is there anything you've thought about? And a student raised his hand and he said, well, how come when somebody gets shot in the park, you guys don't come? And the EMSA volunteer said, we do come. We're there. We just cannot get out of our bus until the cops clear the scene. Because, and before he could finish his statement, a young man from the back of the room said, because if I'm supposed to shoot that guy and you come out to save him, I'm going to shoot you too. And that was the moment I think I truly got out of my bubble and realized, wow, these kids are dealing with things I've never even thought of. That pressure to make sure that they stay in with the people who they think protect them, they think makes their life better, is strong. And it's a real thing. And it changed how I taught or facilitated classes in that area from then on, because I...
What's going on, Sparkly? Thank you for the follow. Hype bot. Cool. Just doing a little bit of video editing.
Save them, I'm going to shoot you too. And that was the moment I think I truly got out of my bubble and realized, wow, these kids are dealing with things I've never even thought of. That pressure to make sure that they stay in with the people who they think protect them, they think makes their life better, is strong. And it's a real thing. And it changed how I taught or facilitated classes in that area from then on, because I knew that if I came in and just said, well, you need to change your life and things need to be better, they weren't going to understand that. They didn't think their life was bad. They didn't think their choices were bad. But if I could open the discussion with, hey, where is this getting you? And where do you really want to go? It changed the whole dynamics of what we discussed. With as truthful as kids.
Cool. So we just have this little bit left to do, and then we can start thinking about putting some music into this and some lower thirds and see if there's any areas that we particularly want to have some transitions. I don't like to use a lot of transitions, but transitions every now and again aren't really a bad thing. Wow, overly transitions is pretty bad. Cool. We're on schedule. We are on schedule. Alright, let's see.
Discussed. With as truthful as kids can be, they crave connection. They crave it. They want it so badly. Their brain needs it for growth and development. And so when somebody sits down and says, hey, tell me what you think, it's a whole new world to them, and it's a whole new connection for them, and they are willing to tell you. A few years ago, we saw the conversation with marijuana change in the classroom. I was just coming out of teaching in the classroom and into this executive director role, but it was starting to shape because so many states were legalizing it. And so the conversation was shifting in the classroom. We could see it. It turned from just a, hey, we want to do this, to, no, there's legitimate reasons why they should legalize marijuana from kids. They knew all the arguments. And so we decided to change the curriculum to be more of a facilitation of, okay, you guys are probably going to be the generation that legalizes it. Can you tell us, what would that look like? How are we going to pay for it? What parameters are we going to set? You know, do you think it's okay if a mom smokes while she's pregnant? And how are we going to pay for policing that? And what are we going to do if we arrest mom because she's been smoking weed while she's pregnant? How does that all work? And it totally shifted the conversation. You'd ask the kids at the beginning of the class, how many of you are for legalizing marijuana? And the entire classroom would raise their hand, to almost a deadlock at the end of the class. for the same question, because now they're trying to think, well,
dude, this song is legit. Some good stuff right there.
class for the same question, because now they're trying to think, well, where are we going to get the money for that, and how are we going to regulate it, and how are we going to keep it out of the hands of kids? Because regardless of where you see legalization of marijuana, it's not legal for kids. You know, as parents, we try to relate to our kids. We do. We do. We try. We want to relate to them, right? We want that connection as much as the kid does. But there is that fine. But there is that fine line between being their parent and being their friend. And as much as I want my kids to think I'm cool, I also want to make sure my kids are safe. And there is no safe place or safe time to drink or use drugs between the ages of 0 and 24 because of brain development. So as an adult, we have a hard time sometimes with trying to figure out how to respond to things. And then you think about a 14 or 15-year-old, they've got one of those great...
Whoa, stop there. Whoa, mule. Whoa, mule. Alright. And then they got one of those lovely. So let's do that, and let's actually do a triple save. Just in case.
And then you think about a 14 or 15-year-old, they've got one of those great smart devices in their hand, right? They're inundated with messages all day long. Messages from friends, messages from parents, now messages from teachers, right? Because they get most of their assignments online or however that works. And however that works. And then you think about they're on what? Social media. So most kids today most kids today are on Snapchat or they're on Instagram or Twitter, and they're filtering messages all day long. And no parent truly controls the messaging that their kids are going to see on those social media platforms. I mean, we'd like to, and there's lots of great apps and things like that out there. But whether it's on their own device or it's on their friend's device that they're looking through because their friend doesn't have all those filters, they're going to be inundated with messages. They're going to be inundated with messages and ads. You know, even your smartphone picks up on things that you're talking about, even when it's not on, or things that you search on your search engine for your internet on your phone, and then all of a sudden those things start popping up on your phone, and then all of a sudden those things start popping up on your smartphone as ads or as information or infographics or things like that. So kids then have to filter that. Those things aren't necessarily set for kid brains, they're set for adult brains, right? So if a kid just searches, I'm going to just make something up, let's say margaritas, because they heard the term, they don't know what goes into a margarita and they want to know, right? Because that's how kids think. Now all of a sudden their social media is going to be filled with all the products that make margaritas and all the ads for those? Are those ads geared towards kids? Are they saying, hey, you should wait till you're 21? They're not doing that. They're just advertising. So we have to really give kids tools to think through and filter and process those things and to talk it through, because I know even myself as a parent, I forget that my kids have access to those kinds of things all day long with their smart devices. Before it was like TV shows. Forget that my kids have access to those kinds of things all day long with their smart devices. Before it was like TV shows and movies, they had products that would pay them to showcase their products. Well, now it's YouTubers and Instagrammers and Twitters and YouTubers and Instagrammers and Twitters and people like that they're paying to use their products and go out there and tell all their friends. So it's a whole different beast that it's hard to keep up with, for lack of a better way of saying it. It's just hard to keep up with. I don't think smartphones are bad or evil, or, that you should ban them from your children. I personally don't think that. I think kids need to be taught how to use them. I think kids need to be taught how to live with the technology that we have today. Evil, or, that you should ban them from your children. I personally don't think that. I think kids need to be taught how to use them. I think kids need to be taught how to live with the technology that we have today, because it isn't going away. I can't think of a reason.
Okay, we have this one last section to get on with. It's all rainbow colored-y. Oh. Oh, man. I don't know why I feel so tired. Like, I slept plenty today. Maybe I should work out. 2 o'clock. 2 o'clock. Couple hours, team. Couple hours. Alright. No, the music's really low now. Maybe it's just a song. There we go. Oh. Man, I feel weird today, team. I'm not sure why.
Reason why we wouldn't. Think of a reason.
I think I'm going to put my first transition here. So...
want young people to hear these messages. And they're all about positive choices and goals. And they're all about positive choices. All about positive choices and goal setting and how to determine who a real friend is, which sounds like a basic thing that kids should just know. But when you talk to young people and you say, how do you know if somebody's really your friend? They can't tell you. And so we give them tools and skills to look for those specific characteristics so that they can identify, oh, this person really is my friend and not just somebody who wants to see me get into trouble. And those are important skills to have from the time you hit 3rd, 4th grade till the time you finish high school and beyond. Let's be real, who couldn't use a few tools to determine if somebody's truly your friend? Let's be real, who couldn't use 3rd, 4th grade till the time you hit 4th grade?
What?
Are you okay with hazelnuts, or do you want the coconut milk?
Like, what do you mean? What are you making? You don't have to put hazelnut in mine. I have to wash my glass out and all that fun stuff.
Are you taking it, or are you just going to drink it?
A little bit of column A, a little bit of column B. Both.
I'm making the hot espresso, like, this is going to wake you up.
Okay. Are you making...
But it only makes 1 cup.
I mean, you don't have to make that. You can just make a regular coffee in the French press. If you want to make yourself a cup of coffee like that, I mean, that's fine. Either way you can do. I mean, I got coffee ice cubes in there. I'm gonna chill that bad boy down.
So, what kind of coffee do you want?
Hold on a second, team. Be right back. Coffee break. I'm back. Oh man, it's nice being this big ol' semicircle of awesome possum sawsomeness. Yeah. I like how it reacts to my voice. It was a good decision. Anyway, continuing on.
The time you finish high school and beyond. Let's be real. Who couldn't use a few tools to determine if somebody's truly your friend at any age? So I think Operation Aware has the ability to impact so many lives. I'd love to see it go viral, go everywhere. There is no limit because the message is so strong and so sorely needed, especially today as much as it was 36 years ago. And I often get asked, well, why do we... I often get asked, well, why do we still need it 36 years later? Because we're still having kids and we're still parenting. And don't we all need a little back? Don't we all need a little backup sometimes? I mean, I know as a parent, when I tell my kids...
Alright, team. And we're back yet again.
When I tell my kids something, I can tell them 50 times, and then they'll come home and their teacher said something at school and they'll say, "Did you know that if I brushed my teeth every day, I would not get cavities?" And I'm like, yeah, because I've told you the same thing, right? But as a parent, we all need a little backup. And so Operation Aware can be that backup for all of us, for the community. So many times when I was in the classroom, a teacher would say, "Oh my gosh, I've said that to them 100 times, but you come in and say it, and they think they've heard it for the first time." And so we don't just back up parents, we back up teachers. My favorite thing to tell students was, you know, my friends that got straight A's in high school didn't get straight A's because they were the smartest people. They got straight A's because they were always the people who turned things in. And so if you just turn your work in, you have a much better shot at getting straight A's. And these students would look at me like I had just given them the gift to graduation. And yet their teacher told them the same exact thing every single day. So again, we need backup all the time. And I just think Operation Aware gives you the strongest backup to both teachers and parents and even community that we need on the right. The gap between adult brain and kid brain is always going to be there. That gap, you know? So we get to adult and we think kids just know these things, right? There's certain things that I thought my kids should just know. And then they come to me and they say something and I'm like, did I not teach you that? How do you not know that? But again, if we don't have that conversation, then we're not teaching it. And so many times we don't realize that our kids need certain things, they need certain conversations because it just hasn't come up yet. So we give at Operation Aware, we give you the ability to have those conversations because hopefully young people are going home saying, "Hey, we had Operation Aware today and we talked about this," and it gives ability to have those conversations because So we give at Operation Aware, we give you the ability to have those conversations because hopefully young people are going home saying, "Hey, we had Operation Aware today and we talked about this." And we talked about this, and it gives that opportunity to our parents to have those conversations, to say, "Oh yeah, you know what? I had this friend in high school, and they made this choice, and this is what happened." And it opens that door and that floodgate for those really important, impactful conversations between parent and child. I often would tell my students, you need to have that conversation with your parent. You need to know where they stand on that. Because how can you follow their rules if you don't know what the rule is? And sometimes we don't find out the consequence at home until we make the choice. So it's better to have the conversation before you make the choice. So you know exactly what consequences you're going for. It's just giving you're going for. It's just giving it's opening those conversations with everyone. It's just like when something impactful happens in our community, it opens the conversation with everyone. Same thing in the classroom. I just want to give the kids a reason to stop for a moment and think why those choices would be bad or why those choices would impact them negatively. Because if they don't ever think about it, then it's real easy to say to a friend, "Oh sure, I'll try this," or "Oh sure, I'll go to that party and do that," because they don't realize the impact of that choice. So one of my favorite
What are you doing? I think my roommate's burning down my house. Hold on, team. Ha.
It's like that little meme where he's got a cup of coffee. He's like, look, it's coffee. Is it just me or is there a shaking?
The impact of that choice. So one of my favorite experiences Operation Aware in every classroom, at the very least, here in the Tulsa metro area. We know that when a community takes on the same messaging, we're going to make greater change. So when all the students are getting the same messaging, we will see greater change in our community. From there, I'd love to see it go statewide, and from there, nationwide would be amazing. But I'm going to be honest and a little bit selfish here for a second. I live in this Tulsa area. This is where I want to see it grow first.
Okay, team. I'm gonna save the crap out of this because I do not want to lose it. Some cafe au lait. Very nice. So the real question then becomes music, right? Because we have a few different themes going on here. We have at least one set of music. Hold on. I think that no, there you go. There's a shift and change there. Because there's a tonal shift here. And there's going to be one here. So there's need 3 sets of music. And if that's the case, what we're going to do, well, and I'm going to say, I'm going to knock this out, and we're going to go to mood. I already have mood. Let's go with serious. And we're going to pop up the audio to this. Stay tense and dramatic. Yeah, let's do the dramatic. Okay, team, I need to use the restroom again. Give me just a second. I'm back, team. That was therapeutic. Holy cow. That's good. Alright. I'm gonna go with that one. We're gonna say uplifting, powerful, education. I have to take my heads off for this team. Oh boy, this is actually pretty big.
Jenny Dolan. I'm the Executive Director of Operation Aware. So I started my career at Operation Aware as a prevention educator about 15 years ago. I taught in the classroom for 10 years. I taught every grade from pre-K all the way up through alternative high school. Lots of experiences, really unique and different. I often like to live in my bubble and think that the things that we see on TV and the things that we hear that kids deal with are not true. And I really found that our kids struggle with a lot of things daily, things that we never even think about, not just from hunger and lack of resources, but also emotions, emotional deprivations, and the social skills that they lack more and more each day of learning how to communicate with each other. One of the things that makes Operation Aware unique is the fact that we aren't just a scripted curriculum. Our curriculum is a guide for our facilitators. What makes the magic happen is when the facilitators really get in and understand their students and draw from their current experiences and then take that to mold the discussion. The information about drugs and alcohol has been the same for the last few years. We get a few new pieces to it, but really the risk has always been the same when it comes to that kind of behavior. What makes Operation Aware last and stick is the relationships that are built over that 8-week period that make the biggest difference. It's always amazing to me to get from week 1 to week 8 with students and see that aha moment, to see when that student goes, wow, I get it. If I just do this, this, and this, things are going to be easier. Not always going to be better, but they're going to be easier than if I made decision X, Y, or Z. It doesn't ensure that you'll be happy forever. It just means that you're going to have to deal with a lot less if you make decisions without the impairment of those outcomes. Bad things are going to happen, period. I mean, I can't tell you what bad thing is going to happen to Susie or Sally or Joe, but I can tell you that every young person that we have in our community is going to face something difficult. It's just a no-brainer. I wish that it wasn't that way, but it is. We want to give them the tools and the skills to bounce back from whatever that bad is. So we use little things and big things. So we use facilitated discussion around risky behaviors and why that's a good or a bad idea. And then we use good news. At the top of every classroom, we talk about, hey, what's something good that happened between last week to this week? That was one of my favorite things to do in the classroom. There were definitely times where I would walk into a classroom and you could tell that the teacher didn't want to be there and the 30 students in the classroom didn't want to be there. But they were there, and so here we go, right? And I would start with good news. I'd say, can somebody tell me something good that happened from last week to this week that they just want to share? And you would have silence, crickets. And you'd even have one student who'd be like, there's nothing good going on here. And it was such a fun moment for me, because I'd say, really? You can't find one good thing that happened in the last 7 days. Not one. And they would be very grumpy and very, stubborn and say, nope, there's nothing good. And somebody tell me why things are so bad? What has happened to your class that there's nothing good that somebody can share? And somebody would say, yeah, the teacher's given us tests this week and we all failed in it. Or, they'd come up with some reason. Maybe somebody lost their dog or somebody lost their grandparent. Lots of different reasons. And we pull from those and say, it's really sad that you feel like the teacher's kind of trying to, All
right, so we have a shift in tone here. So that needs to be expressed. Here. Yeah, I was gonna say, if you want to post something, Christopher, before I end up having to. Oh, you're way behind there, buddy. I got more stuff. Didn't you? Yeah, did he post?
I've only missed one.
Oh, is that okay? Sorry. Out of character.
What am I supposed to post?
Did you want to role play getting your gauntlets, or do you want me to take care of that? Sean said he was okay with whatever I come up with, but that's fine. Then this is going to have another tone to it. But good God, how long is this section? It's about 2... That's like 8 minutes right there. This is actually going to take me longer than what I thought. It's already 3 o'clock. I have to get ready for work. Huh. Well, let's see. What do we want to do here? Art list. I want to start on something powerful. Oh, this is always the most difficult part of this whole entire thing. I've got to cover something like 25, yeah. I was totally spaced out there. 1, 2, 3, 4. There we are. And we're just gonna try and I don't think I've ever had this happen before, but it's happening. Ooh, but if I have to extend the music, I can, but that's not really the point now, is it? Well, that being said, guys, I'm going to go ahead and say triple save here. And get ready for the day. Alright. Cool. Thank y'all for hanging out, and we'll see you guys next time. Be good.